Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode on the Truth That Heals podcast. I am your host, Ryan Anthony Hernandez, and for today's episode, I wanted to share with you my experiences being in an end times cult. And the way I wanted to explain it is by going through how life was before entering, while I was inside, and after leaving, so that hopefully the listeners can have a better understanding of what it is that many of us go through. So lately, I've been doing a lot of reading, a lot of soul searching, and I came across a line in a certain book, and the line was "Hic et nunc," which is Latin for here and now. And I was really reflecting on that because I feel so grateful to have here and now, to have that ability to take back my life, to have the ability to open a book, to explore different ideas. And I'm sharing about ik et nunc, about the power of the presence of now, because in the cult we didn't have that, and I wanted to explain what I mean by that. So before joining this religious community, which is a Catholic community, sadly, there was just a lot of love bombing. And love bombing is something which cults do. It's a tactic. It gets you to lower your guard and to see these people as loving and kind. And I really just dropped my guard entirely and I trusted them. But the thing is that I really trusted them so much that I left everything. I left life in Los Angeles and I ended up joining this community. But once I joined, uh, then things started to change. It wasn't that lovey dovey group which I expected, which I saw. Inside, it was a different presentation. And so I mentioned earlier about ik et nunc, about the power of here and now. But in the cult, there are only, in the end times cult, to be more specific, there are only 2 points in time to be for this podcast from my observation, and that is once you join, once you give your yes, and the actual end times. So when you give your yes, you surrender yourself, you surrender your mind, your heart, your will, and supposedly you're doing that to Jesus. You're offering this up for God, but the truth is that now that I'm able to really observe and look back at what I experienced, there was a lot of fear because yes, I mentioned there was this love bombing and making you to feel special. But once you join, it's like, okay, now that you're a member, now you have to suffer. Now you have to keep your mouth silent if you see things that are disturbing to you, because that's how you show God how much you love him. And it created this environment where we thought, or at least the way I perceived it in my younger mind, was that all suffering was a gift from God, even if it was abusive. The spiritual side, and I'm taking this from a Catholic perspective, the spiritual side of joining a religious community is that number one, it's from your free will. It's a free choice. There's no pressure. There's no fraud, and you're doing this. You're making this choice to join a religious community because you want to follow Christ in that manner. And in this community, the focus was more following the founder. And I mentioned about the here and now, how, I mean, now that I'm out, every day I have that possibility to study, to pray on my own, to explore life. Whereas when you're in this cult, life ends. Your relationships with people, that's over because the end is going to be here at any moment. So you're here and now, that ability to be free mentally, it's done. So to kind of make it simple and to help you understand, uh, today I saw my mom. I say good morning, hello, build a healthy relationship with my mother. With work, I have coworkers. Have a healthy relationship with my coworkers. I want to study something. I can go to a school and I can get an education, or I can go online and get an education. The thing with cults or high control groups is that they see all of that as of no use. Getting an education, what, your life is done now. You've given it to God. uh, Build relationships. You don't need relationships. You don't need healthy relationships. All you need is a relationship with God. If you want to have a relationship with friends or with family, then that just shows that you don't really love God. And so you see how it's not healthy, uh, the way the cult perceives the here and now, because the here and now, being in an end times cult, is everything has to be directed to following the leader, being like him, being a replica of him. And also your focus is the end times. So there's no education, there's no guidance. There's no guidance there. There's no healthy relationships. And even if you have friendships, they would tell us that maybe you're a homosexual, or maybe you are committing the sin of lust because you have a friend, or because you're talking to that person. They would call it particular friendship, and then you would get in trouble. And I'm sharing this because we joined, many of us joined so young. I started off when I was 16, kind of was when the love bombing was really taking place. And right when I turned 17, I left LA and joined the group because I thought that, oh, this is where God wants me. And then once I was there, I was thinking the world is evil, education is evil. And I remember the founder telling us, uh, getting a diploma isn't going to get you to heaven. Getting degrees, all these doctors and all these philosophers, all these smart people, they're probably in hell. So just surrender everything, surrender your life, and follow God and join us, because you're going to be happy once you're here with us. And like I said, there are only two points of here and now inside an end times cult. The first one is when you say, yes, I'm going to follow, I'm going to join, I'm going to take these vows. And then the other here and now is for the future when the end comes. So during these 2 points, your focus is preparing yourself for the end. You're preparing for persecution. You're preparing for if anyone talks bad about the founder, or not even talking bad, it can simply be raising questions. You're trained to get defensive and to look at the person and to think, get away from me, Satan, get away, because you're trying to poison me. But it was very dangerous because deep down inside, there's a part of me thinking, maybe that person is right. Maybe that person does want to really give good advice. But you've been so, for lack of a better word, brainwashed, or at least I was so brainwashed, that even though I had those feelings, the training was that they were bad and that I had to stick to the program, which was to always remember I gave my yes, I gave my vows. I thought I gave consent, but now that I think about it, consent is supposed to be freely given, and you also have full knowledge of what's happening. So it wasn't really consent, it was more acquiescence, I think is the proper word, where they lie to you, they make you think that you're joining for one thing. As I said, I thought I was joining to serve the Lord, to do something good. But what happened instead was I was stuck doing nothing, preparing for the end times. And I remember on the windows, we'd be putting trash bags, black trash bags. Okay, stick with me here. We'd be putting black trash bags because the idea is that in the end times, there's going to be a nuclear holocaust. And when all of these bombs are going all over, destroying the world, these black plastic trash bags are going to protect us from the rays of the radiation, or I don't know. But I remember thinking, oh, wow, we got these black plastic trash bags. We're going to be protected. And in the end, we're going to be saved and we're going to be the salvation. not only of the Catholic Church, we're going to be the salvation of the world. But even though I was saying this and thinking this, because this is what the founder would say, inside I felt that this is so bonkers and that this isn't my faith. But because of pressure and all of my peers, we're all trained and we'd get punished. There's so much punishment that I really just fell in line, and I wanted to share this because I think that many people don't get an inside look on the group that I was in. And also another reason why I wanted to talk about this, because many people don't think that Catholic communities or even Christian communities can be culty. But the sad reality is that it can be culty, and this is what I'm sharing. Now, some may argue and say, but Ryan, there's nothing wrong praying all day. There's nothing wrong because you're in adoration and you're loving God. Uh, and I get it. I mean, I know that there are people who want to pray all day, who want to just sit down or kneel in adoration. You do your thing, but in reality, for us, many of us joined for different reasons. I didn't join to be locked up and to be put in solitary confinement, yet I did so because I thought that that was God's will, but in reality it is abuse. And I think it's beautiful for someone who wants to pray, go ahead, do your prayers, worship as you like. But the danger here in this end times cult was that there was no guidance. There was no education. That is seen as something evil. That is seen as something which will cause you to be infested by evil spirits, and it has you locked in the state of fear. And I'm bringing this up because I noticed that there are some members who are talented. They have these gifts where they can, do work on the computer, or they can do editing, or they can do book writing, or they can do computer graphics or whatever you call it, or other cases, people can do book writing, and they can do great drawings, and they use these people with these talents, and they would help in investing in these skills. And so for them, I wish them the best. But I'll be honest. Um, I felt happy for them because I saw that they were being of use. And there were members like me where I guess the way I was treated, the way I saw myself, and the way they treated me was that I was good for nothing. The only thing I was good at was praying and being in the service of the Lord by being in solitary confinement. And it's not just me, but there are other people there where going back, it's good that they were in helping these people with these talents to use those talents, because when they leave, they can, continue in on that road, whether it's computer graphics or doing designing or book writing. They've already had so much training, whereas people like me and others, so many others, we didn't have education. I didn't even finish high school when I was in the group. And I was in there for 11 years. And so coming out of an end times cult, it's hard because, like I said, it starts when you join and it ends when life is over. And in the middle, all you do is exist. There's no freedom to explore, there's no freedom to have those healthy relationships, and there's no freedom to explore what are your talents, what it is that you want to do in life. You're stuck, you're locked in this perpetual past. You're stuck in that day when you said, yes, I want to serve God. They always remind you, you said yes. You chose to be here, so you can't leave. If you leave, you're going to be infested by evil spirits. So every day it's a constant reminder that, oh, I said yes all those years back, even though I didn't know that all of these things were going to be happening, even though I didn't know that they were lying to me. But now that I know the truth, I still got to stay here because if I leave, I'm going to be possessed by evil spirits. So it really puts a person in danger because now what's happening is you're afraid to leave. That's what happened to me. I was so afraid to leave because I'm thinking, what am I going to do? I I don't have an education. I don't know how to drive. I don't because they didn't let me drive. They didn't let me even go get a driver's license or take classes. So it was very you're trained to depend on them and you're trained to expect for the nuclear holocaust to happen at any moment. But as these things aren't happening and I remember kind of being sneaky and reading other material because you're not allowed to read other material. All that you're really allowed to read are books of the saints or books written by the founder or books which have been compiled by other members in the group. So leaving, it's terrifying for many, not everyone, but for many like myself, because I didn't have any skills. I didn't know what I was going to do. And like I said, for those who have been using these skills of book writing, of drawing, of doing computer graphics, the good thing is that when they leave, they can use those talents and get a job and do something. But for others, particularly myself, it's a very dark period because I've been in there for 11 years, didn't know what to do with my life, feeling lost. I remember like less than a year ago, I went to this film carnival here in San Antonio, and I believe it's called Animalis Fabula, or I think I don't remember. There's a lot of Latin in today's episode. At this film festival, Animalis Fabula, the story, the tale of animals, there was this uh, film that I saw, or this like episode about this lady. She has this project where she takes these dogs and goes to prisons. And the reason why she goes to prisons, and it was to the female prisons, was so that the young women in there can learn a new skill. And that new skill was how to groom, how to take care of dogs, how to help train dogs. Because the idea is that sadly, many people who have been in jail, once they get out, they do probably the same offenses or they go back to the same friends and end up like a business. They end up coming back and back and back, and they just stay in jail, they stay in prison. So the idea of this uh, mission, I guess you can call it, is to give these prisoners, those who qualify, help them have the skills so that when they go out in the world, they can make an impact. They can do something good. They can save money and maybe buy a house, maybe buy a car. And at least it gives them the skills so that they can do something. Because when you don't have these skills, sadly, from from what I learned at this film festival, many go back into prison. So this is kind of like what happened with me because when I left, they told me stay away from the group, but after a few months, try to reestablish contact. Okay, so I stayed away from the group and then I tried to establish contact. But during that time, I was doing nothing with my life. Life was very stagnant because I still depended on them. And I felt that I needed their guidance. I needed them to direct me in life. But the truth is that they have no desire to direct you. They have, from what I'm observing, it was more of a desire to control you, to rule over you, instead of, giving you the skills to live out in the world. And I bring this up because it's very important that I share this. What I want to share is that if you are leaving an end times cult, and if you were like me and you felt useless, you felt like you had no skills in life, feeling just so depressed and maybe even almost like hating yourself, um, The advice I want to give is that it's probably going to be a hard journey. It is not going to be a, snap of the fingers, everything is going to be great. Oh, I'm so happy. There are periods of happiness, but then life hits you hard, and I would wake up and not know what to do with my life. And I'd be waiting for them to contact me, to give me direction, but that never happened. And so slowly I started opening my eyes that they didn't care. And I'm telling you this because you may be waiting for them to direct you, or you may be thinking, life out here sucks. I'm just going to go back in there because they're going to give me a place to stay. But what's happening is you're surrendering your freedom to these people who don't care about you. They say that you're doing it for God, but in truth, there is all of this manipulation, all of this abuse which happens. And sadly, some people may think, oh, this isn't abuse. This is God's love. That's what they told me. That's what they might have told you. Or that the end is going to come. Just wait. Because then there's this fear. Oh, what if the end of the world does come and I'm stuck outside, then I'm not going to be saved. So that's not what Christianity should be about. Christianity, I believe, especially in a Catholic religious group, should be that respect for freedom, having the skills to choose which path you want to take in life, not forcing someone to take a path. So I'm sharing this because you may feel that you need to go back, that there's no hope outside in this outside world. Uh, Something that you may find helpful is do a lot of research, read books, especially like by Yanya Lalich, or read memoirs from other people who have left cults. And it's going to be a healing journey, but I just want people to know that you are not alone, and that there is it does get better. Even though they said that you're going to be good for nothing, worth nothing, and they said terrible things, despicable things, disgusting things. I just want you to remember that there is still ik et nunc. There is still here and now. You still have the power to take back your freedom, but it's going to be one step at a time. But I just want to encourage you, if you haven't taken a step to read a book or to maybe speak to a real friend, someone who really cares for you, uh, do that. Try reaching out. Or if you know someone who may have left a cult, maybe share this video or share these books like by Yanni Lalich, How to Take Back Your Life, or books by Stephen Hassan, because it's very helpful to get an education, to get an understanding. Because when you leave an end times cult, it is so hard to know what to do with your life. But I just hope that by educating yourself, by reading the right books, by having strong faith that things can get better, that maybe it'll help open the door for you. Because in my journey, as I've held on to my faith, as I've held on to seeking, exploring education, listening to podcasts, listening to wise friends, friends who really care, the difference is that I'm in a much better place, and I'm grateful for here and now. Because here and now, I always have that possibility to do something beautiful with my life. And I don't have to be locked up in solitary confinement, getting beaten, and being silent. I will be silent no more. That's it for today. Thank you for listening to the Truth That Heals podcast. If you want, follow me, subscribe. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, and I have a Patreon, which I don't use too much, but hey, I'm going to start getting back on that. So if you'd like to support me, thank you so much. And thank you for listening to this podcast episode. Hope you all have a great day. God bless. Peace out.